Alrighty, then let's go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:10. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 13th, 2018.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? That was the last regular meeting. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from February 13th, 2018 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Is that what I guess I should call them minutes.
That was the law enforcement.
I know which one it was.
Yeah, okay.
From the law enforcement meeting that was held on February 15th, 2018. Is there a second? Is there a
Second.
motion? I'll make the
So
motion.
moved.
Okay, you made the motion. Somebody second it.
Second.
Okay, now we can discuss it. No discussion? All right, this is just a CYA. So all those in favor of approving the minutes from February 15th law enforcement meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 1, 2, 3, and then one abstention. All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 26th, 2018, last night's pre-town meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Do you all get a chance to zip through them? They didn't say much. Okay. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the minutes from February 26th, 2018 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. All right, then moving on to additions and deletions. Under correspondence, we need to put in a communication from Kathy Green. And why don't we just skip over the highway for the moment until we see whether or not we're going to have a member of the public in there, since the highway foreman is not going to be in attendance. We'll go back and pick that up. At the end, we have to talk about the bridge anyway. So, town clerk,
I didn't get one.
You didn't get one?
I don't believe we got one this last couple of weeks. I don't seem to have one. I don't think I put one in, but I didn't see one, so I don't think so.
Okay,
I
so
think she was working on one, but because of the computers and whatnot, I just
that's
don't-
true with the computer.
Well, I just don't think she
Yeah.
kept up with it. She's been really behind. She's here working after 4 today.
Okay, so
Finish something.
then, Joe. Yep.
Only that far after.
In your sweep account, you have $1,385,181.59. Checking account, you have $26,629.91.
Okay.
Any discussion? Questions? All right, then moving on to the warrants.
Oh, I'd make a motion to pay check warrant number 1 out of payroll in the amount of $10,487.80.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $10,487.80 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 2 out of the payroll taxes in the amount of $4,388.09. Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll tax warrant number 2 in the amount of $4,388.09 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 3 out of the general fund in the amount of $10,029.08. Second.
Is there any discussion?
That's one that we have to have the account change for the first light.
Yeah,
If you
I did highlight that.
We'll catch that. That's just a.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 3 in the amount of $10,029.08 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 4 out of the general fund in the amount of $35.75. Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 4 in the amount of $35.75, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, the motion fails for lack of quorum.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 5 out of the general fund, the amount of $117.01.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 5 in the amount of $117.01 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
Why, isn't that the one that he filled out properly?
It appeared to be.
Is there a reason you didn't?
Yes, there's nothing accompanying the fact whether or not he went to a seminar.
Oh, the Fairleigh,
That's right.
Oh, right.
And the policy says we need to see something that proves he went there.
Is the building there? It would be, is it Nemrick? I think it's a Nemrick. Would be in general fund. I think it'd be a Nemrick bill.
I
It should be.
I think that was paid on a previous warrant.
Okay, weeks ago,
Yeah.
in advance, because I thought there was something in the current ones for, there may be another seminar coming up.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, that's supposed to be attached too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that motion fails due to lack of quorum. Let's get it back and tell him we need either an agenda for the seminar or
Pamphlet or receipt or something.
just something to show that he was actually in Fairleigh.
That's great.
There you go. All right. Then
Make a
we'll-
motion to pay check
Go ahead.
warrant number 6 out of the general fund, the amount of $591.92.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 6 in the amount of $591.92, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 7 out of the highway fund, the amount of $8,417.99.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Is this UniFirst?
Yes, there's a UniFirst invoice on there. There's also an invoice for the Freightliner with no explanation as to what we spent $2,000 on.
No, there's no,
Written on.
Oh, that's the next one.
yeah, the Freightliner should be on
Under
8.
equipment. Yep.
7 should be,
Well,
7 is under the highway.
Where's 7?
7's mostly UniFirst.
7 is American Rock Salt, Business Card, Sir Sosimo's, Dental, and 3 UniFirst.
Okay. Then it's, I'm sorry, it's 8.
Okay, so,
Well, do we,
that,
So that is UniFirst.
yeah.
yes, this is UniFirst.
So do we want to amend it to pay them $66.21, or do we want to contact them about what we just talked to them about? Like you should have them on speed.
Yeah, just keep them on speed dial.
Yeah, the one was the Dick Tracy watches.
Yeah, I need one of those, yes. So we need to, do we want to leave it at 6621? Is that what the goal is?
Yeah, that's what we've agreed to pay them, right, for every invoice?
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then this needs to be amended by $8.90. And for, so the amended amount would be $8,409.
Instead of doing this every single week,
and
could we look into finding somebody else?
I'm not sure there's anybody else out
Yeah,
there,
money
but maybe
get
there
rid
is.
of
What's that?
It will cost you money to get rid of them.
Well, not if you don't pay it.
We signed a contract with the issue is
Well, I
that they
understand.
keep going up, and so that is our out
That's
of
breach
the
of
contract.
contract, right.
Yeah, so, but anyway, this-
8,400.
somebody needs to make a motion to amend the amount, to that amount.
What's the amount?
$8,409.09.
I move to amend highway warrant number 7 to the amount of $8,409.09.
Is there a second to that? Is there any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, all those in favor of amending the warrant number 7 to the amount of $8,409.09, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Now back to the main motion. All those in favor of passing highway warrant number 7 in the amount of $8,409.09 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 8 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $2,639.19.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
There's no slips in there, just the statements. Don't tell you what happened, what it was done or anything.
Okay, that's,
Yeah, I can see.
So that's for
Did
the
you-
Freightliner.
did you notice all the additional lube oil that came in?
Well,
Another barrel?
I start with truck T3. Do you know why we needed to buy a set of plow lights?
I feel like we just did pilot on that truck, didn't we?
We did a couple of years ago, and I got them from Bond for about $129. I'm surprised they're $199. List price is $313 or something. I'm surprised they're $199 from Snell's, but I don't know why we bought them. I don't know why we, and I didn't shop that one. I'm assuming that's a reasonable price, but I don't know. It seems really expensive to me. That having been said, that's the only one that I knew about. I didn't see the one on the Freightliner. We talked about the oil last time, but if that other bill is in there, then that's for the 55-gallon, the hydraulics. I had done a printout of the last one to show that we bought 3 55-gallon drums of the oil just in the last 45 days.
Right, so we need Kurt here to answer some of these questions.
Yeah.
And then we also have calipers, rotors, and pads all the way around for T3. I have questions in regards to that.
Yeah, on this invoice?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot of work done on that.
Okay,
A lot of
so,
labor with the guys on that.
so is there any further discussion on that? Or would you like to table the motion? What would you like to do? Just fail it?
Fail it.
Okay, so all those in favor of approving equipment warrant number 8 in the amount of $2,639.19 signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? The motion fails due to lack of quorum. All right,
Let's change places, if you want to do.
then, why don't we go, depends on why you're here, Bob. Do you want to talk about the bridge, or do you want to talk about, is there something else that you wanted to speak to us about?
Yes.
Yes, something else,
Both.
or both?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, why don't you do your other right now, and then we'll go back and pick up the bridge.
You read the 2 paragraphs in my Townsend Tree Warden report, and I want to thank you because that to me is important. The fact that we're identifying trees and then it takes a very, very long time to remove it, which in simple terms puts the town at risk, not just of liability, simple liability, but if someone got hurt because of an identified hazard, long after a reasonable person would have taken care of it, gross negligence enters the picture. Something that most insurance policies will not cover. So my point is that when trees, hazard trees are identified, we need to take care of it. Not the next day, not the next week, but a reasonable person would look at that and say, I gotta get this set up for removal. If it takes a month, those trees, some of them involve a crane or a bucket truck, maybe it takes 2 months, maybe it takes 3 months. 18 months, no, that's unreasonable. And there have been a number of times when that's been the case. So as a town, we need to address this. That's the point of those paragraphs. Do you have any questions for me?
Understood, but we need to know which trees they are, and we did not know that after repeatedly asking for a list. I did not see a list from you personally. We did not receive a list from the highway foreman. We need the list. That was our problem.
Steve, your point is well taken. When I went out with the highway foreman and the county forester, the highway foreman was making notes. He was the one that was going to be working with whoever the removal company was. He's the one that should be taking the list. Every time I've been out with him, that's what he's done. He's made the list. So you need to ask the highway foreman for that list.
We had,
Oh, we have repeatedly.
Oh, we have.
Okay, well,
So it's, I think what we're kind of going, where we're going with this, is it's difficult to get the trees down in a reasonable time if nobody will tell us where the devil the trees are. is kind of what we're looking at.
Well, even, and not to interrupt, but even when you know when the trees aren't, and you were here a year ago, Mike Bills asked about a tree at his father's place on East Hill Road, that one little dead elm that's there, asked if he could cut it down. He said, by all means, go ahead. He decided there was too much liability for him as a homeowner to do it, because if it fall on the road, he'd have to, you know, basically put cones in the road. I mean, it's not that big around, but nonetheless, it's likely to fall on the road. And the highway department was notified of that. Kurt said he knew all about it. When was that? You were here with Kathy and Mike, but that was over a year ago. I mean, it was spring of last year. That tree is still there, and that's where the problem lies. That we don't hire these things out until we get a number of them to make a trip worthwhile for a big tree company.
Right, we need a full day's work worth of.
At the same time, we don't seem to be attending to the little ones ourselves, and that's
We share your frustration, believe me.
Yes,
I've got a
absolutely.
half inch of emails here, almost all of which relate to hazard trees. Working with and supervising people is one of the most difficult jobs that there is. And I'm not gonna tell the select board how to do their job. You guys know how to do your job. If the highway foreman isn't doing the work, you need to go on to Plan B.
It's a process.
You bet.
It's a process.
You bet.
We know that.
Okay.
What would the plan be, Bob? Us to basically, I mean, you want us to cut the trees down ourselves? I mean, we've supplied them with a chainsaw, we've supplied them with a chipper, we've supplied them with a truck.
And
We
also
supply them
safety
with
equipment.
workman's comp if they got hurt or any of that. And I
Safety
probably
equipment.
believe they have safety classes that they've attended somewhere along the line for cutting the tree down. So do we need to hold their hand?
Definitely.
Or do we need to be the guys that are out there running the flag because they can't get northeast flaggers or whatever the deal is? The problem lies is that we shouldn't, as taxpayers, be paying $1,400–1,600 a day to have people cutting down elm trees that are 6 inches in diameter that are next to the road when we have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And granted, we don't have to cut the biggest maple hanging over the power lines, but we could cut a lot of the small, ridiculous stuff that's around. And, you know, we're not, I mean, we can bark and bellow and jump up and down and carry on about it all we want, and we have. We've sat here for hours, if you took all the time that we've talked after this, which there's no minutes taken, but we've done it about trees. And we've gotten basically nowhere. The chainsaws have dust on them. The wood chipper, I think, floated down in the last flood.
He's a
You know,
Massachusetts.
it's just one of those things where it's like we banged our head against the wall as hard as anybody else has. And we've gotten nowhere.
Well, we've started a process. We have documentation. We're doing our homework correctly, but it's a process. Enough said on TV.
Okay.
Okay.
And when I see a hazard tree, putting it in writing and then not having it attended to, that makes everything worse.
It does, absolutely.
So at this point, unless I'm specifically asked to do something, I'm not looking for hazard trees. So understand that. You know,
Well-
if someone asks me to go out and look at something, I will certainly do that.
I mean, part of the issue as well is this magical theoretical list that supposedly is in everybody's head that drives the truck through this town doesn't manifest itself at this table into something that we can do something about. I think that's the frustration, is the fact that we have no problem whatsoever, and there's money in the budget to take care of these trees, particularly the ones that they couldn't do, the big ones, like my big elm that came down Easter Sunday last year.
Ash.
Exactly.
Excuse me, that wasn't ash. But anyway,
They got tunnel vision when they head down the road. They don't see a dead tree or,
and from that standpoint, you know, it's, unless somebody can tell us that we've got 10 to 15 trees in a generalized location, that we can just say, okay, now we got enough to bring a crew out, we can get this done. but then we'd also have to rely on the highway foreman to go out and identify those trees for the crew, which the last time it happened,
Did not happen.
he did not identify them. We can't win for losing, it's about what it amounts to when these trees, I wish they'd all just die and we'd be done. Wouldn't be an issue.
Well, that's why they're an issue, 'cause they're dead.
I'm sorry.
But just fall down,
Yeah, well, blow them down.
Then we get a call out to go pick up the branch.
That's true too.
fall back away from the truck.
That's true.
Right on the edge of it.
So yes, we definitely share the frustration, but it's very, very difficult for us. I mean, how do you mandate it?
And to your early point there, Kurt has told me that every truck has a list of hazard trees. Ask him to bring it in. I didn't,
We did.
15 times I've asked him.
3, 4, 5 different times.
well.
I told him I want to see the list, and the last time when we were going to talk about your letter in the town report, we asked him point blank, is there a list? His response to us was, no, it's in my head.
I was standing in the garage and he told me there's a list of every truck.
He told us that as well. And we've asked for the list repeatedly. None has ever surfaced, which means there is no list.
Well, the list is there for 8 to 15 hours a day, and then it goes home. It's in their mind.
In their minds, they're imagining it. But yes, we definitely share the frustration with the trees because we know, I mean, I know there's been mention of 35 and the trees that are along 35. That is the only one since I've been on the board that's received any attention. And if 35 is that bad, you can imagine what every other road in this town's like. Because they haven't had any attention.
I can show a road, there's probably 50 trees on.
I'm sure you saw over the summer, Route 35 into Athens had spray painted red, orange, and yellow lines painted on the road. We asked what that meant and what the different colors meant, but it wasn't easy for us to send out a tree cutting service and say, these trees are marked, because it didn't really mean anything. They couldn't go out without an escort to show them exactly what needed to be done. So,
I've been on that road twice with Kurt, both times. First time with the county forester, and we flagged the trees. We literally put bright colored flagging, yellow or orange, around those trees.
But it took 2 years to get somebody to, and by then the flagging had changed.
Bring a chainsaw with you the next time.
We'll just take them down. Okay. So is that the other issue is that all that issue, the tree issue?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you have questions for me.
Anybody?
I sent you guys a letter, and
Yeah.
like I said, I work at your pleasure. If you don't want me, just tell me and I'll move on.
Well, I do have your letter. In fact, it's on the agenda to read tonight. Did you still want it read aloud?
If you want to, but, you know, we discussed it.
Okay, because essentially we've talked about everything that you had, all the points in that particular letter. I also have a letter from you on the bridge. That's why I asked you which of the two subjects you wanted to talk about.
Exactly.
So do we want to move on to the bridge? Because we're not going to have anybody from the highway.
I want you to continue doing what you've done for the town. I do, personally.
Okay, so then well, Bob's here, let's deal with the bridge. All right, this is an email that you sent forward to the board. It says, Kurt, last Friday I saw a sign on a small wooden post at the bridge below, east of Shadow Lawn, saying the bridge would be closed as of February 26th. I was surprised. I had asked you several times, no repeatedly, for advance notice. 10 days? Today the wood posts are still there, but the signs are gone. Does this mean the work has been rescheduled? As a Townshend resident taxpayer, I know the bridge needs work. It has for a long time. I would hope that you can respect mine and every other resident's need for advance notice. We understand the work is needed, but timing seems very peculiar. February. Please provide details on this work. Will a temporary bridge be involved? How many days are expected before it is reopened, etc.? Selectboard, I know this is work needed, but I haven't seen a single thing in writing to include emergency planning, project specifics, etc. None of my previous emails to Kurt have been replied to. I would appreciate it if you would. Bob Sturlow.
I didn't answer that. Did he call you? No, okay.
All right, so what would you like to know about the bridge? Because you probably know more than I do.
I'd like to know when the work is going to be done.
So would I.
Well, see, they had it scheduled for the 26th. In fact, our last meeting told them it's a bad time of year to be doing it, because storm and everything else, and all of a sudden I see the signs come down. And so I figured they must be put it off for a while.
Well, at the last meeting, it was Kurt was gonna talk to Clark, who has the contract, and determine whether the 26th, looking at long-range weather and all of that. What I found out, and I found it out from Bob, at the law enforcement meeting on the 15th, 2 days after the meeting, I was in the process of sending out this letter everybody saw a copy of, and I did mail that out subsequently. But I found out from Bob that the signs had gone up, and indeed, the road was gonna be closed as of February 26th. So on Friday, I began getting phone calls. I got like 4 phone calls. You were here for 1 or 2 of them, from people that were concerned about that. And what is the time frame? How long is it going to be closed and all that? So I confirmed, I guess, that it was going to be, but I hadn't heard from Kurt that that was a definite. All of a sudden, the signs went up. And then I found out on Monday or Tuesday that Monday, I guess, was a holiday. But I found out on Monday or Tuesday that the signs indeed had come down.
What?
And then I started getting phone calls again from you and others saying, what's
Which
going
is it?
on? Which is it? And I complain, because people call Anita, she doesn't know, so the calls come to me, or go to Joe or to somebody else. But Kurt's not answering the phone up there, he's out, busy anyway.
Right.
So, and he's either not checking the machine or the tape is full. But apparently people aren't getting called back. But anyway, it's okay for them to call here, I just don't have that information. So I began the walk back of saying, as soon as the weather permits, I assume we will be doing that bridge, which is what I understand is gonna happen. But you really need to talk to Kurt, because this is a highway issue. He's in conjunction with the contractor to take care of this. I'm supposed to be in the loop, the board's supposed to be in the loop, town clerk's supposed to be in the loop. We don't have that information.
Well, just stay on that point. Ask Kurt. You know where I live, the end of Barber Road. There's what used to be either a class 4 or a trail, the extension of Barber Road. There's a sign there now that says private road, keep out, which a new neighbor put up. I spoke to Kurt because it was either opening day of hunting season or the day after. Someone stopped me as I was leaving first thing in the morning and says, I used to go down that trail. Is it now private property? I looked at the statute. The town's got a responsibility to keep any right-of-way open for people to use. That sign should come down.
Yeah, so I'll get add to that. Myself, Charlie Matchett, Cindy Davis, and Molly Cook, we spent a lot of time looking all this stuff up. And the select board did nothing about it until after the deadline, so they was automatically, anything that was not on a map, not on a highway map, is gone.
The statute says that if the select board didn't throw it up and there had been a road there, the right-of-way remains.
Not according to the new law, Bob.
Well, again, the statute that I read says that
Well,
the right-of-way remains.
See, the state of Vermont just put something in, I don't know what the real estate dealers and all of them put up a squawk about it. And once they're gone, they're gone.
Was it an ancient road? Was it considered one of the
Yeah,
ancient
on the
roads?
ancient roads that we lost, a whole bunch of them. We worked hours to go over it.
And Irvin, I looked at all the stuff that your committee had put in writing. And I see it was at one time supposed to be a class 4, then another time a trail. But I saw that there was no final activity.
But see, not only that, part of that road was given up when the federal government put the dam in.
Down at the bottom.
Yep.
Yes.
So there's no way you could drive down through there.
Yes. But the statute says that the right-of-way has to be maintained, meaning that this guy wanted to walk down this road, but it says private, so the sign shouldn't be there.
But also the statute says, if you want to use that road and drive down it with a pleasure car, and you own property down there, you've got to bring it up to specs to satisfy the town. Because due to these ski area stuff, that was a new law that was put in.
Ski areas. What if we could just take a hard left? What are you talking about?
We'll go swimming in the...
No, there's a lot of stuff has changed, gone over the dam.
So to go back, the highway foreman usually tells me, talk to the select board, because that's what he said about that road.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's on my short list to talk to you guys about, so.
Wow. hate to see what the long list looks like.
Well, quite frankly, what Irv's referring to with the ancient roads, that all the work that was done somehow just disappeared. It just vanished.
It was turned over to the board at that time. But
How long ago?
nobody knows what happened to it.
I've got about 4 memos that your group produced.
Yeah.
So if you need them, I got 4 memos.
Well, it don't do good now, because
It's
too
too
late.
late.
Oh,
The
yeah, right.
deadline.
2015, that was it, as of February 2015, they were wiped out.
So that if the town didn't claim them by that time, they reverted to the landowner. So if that was an ancient road,
They,
it reverted.
Again, the statute says otherwise, but I'm not the attorney here.
No, but you go back and look at the newer statutes, and it's changed. So there's amendments and stuff that have come onto them original statutes.
All I know is this hunter wanted to.
Just tell him to keep hunting, burn right on by the sign.
Well, I pretty much told him that, but he was afraid someone was gonna come after him.
That's a possibility too. So anyway, can we get back to the bridge? Because I think that's where we started this
But,
conversation.
wait, didn't you walk down in there with us when we walked that?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you did.
Yes,
I remember you were walking down there, Charlie and I, and that, we all walked down in there.
yes.
And we figured out, and the we could figure out was why the government owned, and
Well, it's marked. I mean, they.
Yeah, but I said-
they have boundary marker.
we knew we'd gone as far as we could because the government had taken the rest of it over due to flood control.
Right.
Are there any other property owners down there? Like, is there anything adjacent?
Past you, there's one, isn't there, or there are two?
There's, at the end of the road, there's myself and someone directly across from me, and then another one that's probably about 50 feet down. And that's the one that put the sign up, private property,
But that's the last parcel.
before the Corps of Engineers.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Because there is a statute that you can't landlock,
right.
but there's no other.
That, down there, opposite where you come in, down below that house, that's Anderson's, I believe, isn't it? Yeah. They came down over the hill and come down to meet that road, and you're on the other side.
Okay, so can we get back to the bridge now?
So, I've been there, so I know.
Okay, so what went out, you received a copy of this letter.
No, what's that?
It was mailed to you, the Townsend and I, the road will be closed for approximately 2 weeks as soon as weather permits. That's all that we know on this side.
Don't remember seeing that one.
Okay, well, there's one in your box.
You should have gotten it
Post
in the
office.
mail.
Yeah, this
Okay,
went out- this went out last week.
And the one thing that when they said they were going to begin this project on the 26th, the roads were frozen solid. And because this is a big project, they're gonna be moving a crane in, they're going to be moving a truck with a pre-made bridge in. They wanted the roads to be frozen. Well, needless to say, Mother Nature did not cooperate in the least, now that we have mud this deep. And which is probably why it flipped around so quickly. I am disappointed that Kurt didn't get in touch with anybody, because quite frankly, you know,
It's been bad PR.
we asked to be kept in the loop as well, and we weren't. I found out from the secondary source that the signs were down. So I can honestly say you know no more or no less than we do. As far as the emergency pieces, when that bridge is closed, we will in fact notify the fire department, we will notify rescue, and they will have it marked. They always mark it in the station that they would have to access that via the back road.
Excellent, excellent. That was something that was fairly important because if you're coming in from Route 30, you've got to go down to Newfane now and come around on Newfane Road over
Yeah.
to Dam Road and West Hill. So I mean, that adds a half hour, unless you're coming from Newfane itself, in which...
We'll see what they would do in that particular case. If they had to get there and they're going to be coming from Newfane, it could be either truck, either division would be responding. But yes, they will have to go the back way or go into Wardsboro and come back that way. But they will be notified. All the emergency support will be
You
notified.
probably know, I work for myself, and when I have to go north, when the culvert was out, that added a half hour to my trip because I had to go down to Newfane and go
Right.
north. So if I gotta go north, it adds that much more time because now I've gotta take even smaller roads to get there. So,
If you're headed north, you can go to Wadsboro that way.
and
Yeah.
exactly, Irv, but normally I would go 2 miles of dirt road
Yeah.
to 30. I mean, so,
Oh, yeah, I realize.
The only way to ever get away from that is to move down here. So, when you cross 3 bridges to get to your house, expect sometime along the lifetime or two that you might have one of them be out.
Yeah, which bridge is next slated? We may as well tell him now.
43.
43.
41.
41.
41 is the next.
I don't know, it's gone back and
The
forth.
one, and the one back this side of there, down by, just above where was Raden's there, the other bridge like that one right there.
concrete bridge?
No, the Stringer Bridge, just same as the one that they're gonna replace.
Okay.
That's gonna be,
Okay, okay.
that
That one's due to
gotta
be replaced as well.
We're gonna have sometime, it won't, not this year, but
Okay,
that one's gonna have to be replaced too, cause the beams are starting to go.
okay.
So line work up heading south.
That's kind of my point. If you give me a month's notice, I can figure things out so I don't have to spend that extra half hour. I mean,
But I say.
No one
we
wants
just-
it to be a surprise for you,
thank you.
believe me.
Thank you.
Yeah,
No,
this would be
it's-
giving you
it's-
one,
Or
if
for
it's
us.
a year or two probably, but.
It's now not gonna happen likely during mud season, so you can watch the conditions and anticipate bringing a pretty good sized crane in, but it's probably not gonna happen, I would assume, until May now, anyway. Or maybe if we have a hot, dry April, but,
Let's not, hope we don't have a hot, dry April, but June sounds good.
yeah,
No, I don't think it'll go that long. And quite
The
frankly.
bridge is ready
The
to go.
bridge is ready, it's built, it needs to go in, and we need to get that bridge plate
So,
back.
When
And
it
that-
stays
and that-
soft, you ain't gonna be able to get in there.
yeah.
The
And that
sooner
one needs to
stuff.
come out, that one's getting pretty bad.
That's a big problem.
Okay, so did you have anything else, or did we answer all the questions at least that we could?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so there's,
And like I said in my note, appreciate all you do, so thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we
We also
appreciate what
appreciate
you
you.
do.
okay. So, let's see, now we're going backwards, we're still gonna go back to the highway at another time. We've already talked about the bridge and what else we need to talk about. Anyway, let's do the letter that I added from Kathy Bree.
Did you wanna mention Pam? Because that letter was on.
Well, that was the
But
bridge,
that was
wasn't it?
also the bridge.
Yeah, but
too.
God, I need somebody to hold that over on that wall so I can read it. It says Townshend Selectboard, as a resident on Barber Road, I am writing to express my concern about the timing of the scheduled repair of the bridge on West Hill Road. While I understand and appreciate the repair needs to be done, I would hope it can be postponed to a time when road maintenance is a critical task to safe travel to work and elsewhere. I work in Brattleboro and leave my house at 8:15 a.m. While I understand that Wardsboro will maintain our road during the period of construction, I'm fairly sure we will not be a priority. Well, here we are back in Wardsboro again. I do not have the option of working from home and therefore is forced to navigate the roads, whether they've been plowed, sanded, or graded. I'm concerned about the safe travel, not only down our hill, but also through the 20-minute commute over the back roads of Wardsboro and into Newfane. I would like to ask for a consideration to postpone this work until summer or fall when the road maintenance is not as critical from the safety point of view. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Pamela Corbett. Let me just say, the bridge can't wait that long. So that's the other piece we had on the bridge.
Where the heck do they live?
They're right next to Bob, on the other side, they're right across, aren't they?
They're the people with the sign that says private property.
Now we know.
I
Okay.
gotta say, because I know pretty everybody who did it up there, and I was wondering why that was.
I think
Yeah, that
she's
was
the
put
one
in
that does
after I
about
get
50
out
on
of
the road too.
Look, we've come full circle.
Yes, and so it goes. All right.
That's the timing.
Well, he works for Eagle Creek, doesn't he? He goes down to the dam every
Oh,
day.
that's-
So he's got a longer commute. If he has to go through Newfane and back to the dam, he can almost see his house from his job.
I'll tell him to get a bicycle.
Well, he can use.
Or you can walk across the brook.
If he's got that trail, he can come down on the damn property.
That's true.
Okay. All righty. So,
Okay.
the other piece of correspondence we have is from Kathy Grave. And it says, Dear Select Board, I saw the video of the meeting at which you discussed the minutes from the Social Service Committee. I was mistaken in listing Barbara Marchant as a member of the committee, as she should have been listed as a member of the public. After doing the Social Services Committee report myself last year, with some input from Craig Hunt, I sought input from more people who might be familiar with some of the agencies, and I welcome public participation. Barbara attended and participated in our meetings, and I believe I reported in the minutes that we reached our decisions by consensus. Cindy Davis and I, the two appointed members to the committee, agreed on all of our recommendations. I therefore believe that they should be reviewed as coming from the Social Services Committee. I didn't find out until I received my town report last week that the Select Board had appointed Christina Wright to the committee. Had I known that she had been appointed, I certainly would have included her in our meetings and made every effort to schedule them at times convenient for her. Thank you for your consideration, Kathy Grave. So, is that all the communication?
I believe that is on, yeah.
That was when we were discussing the, okay.
The social services report.
Yeah.
All right, so now I lost my agenda. Can't go anywhere without that. So if there's nothing else on bridges or social services, one thing you might want to listen to, well, it's going to be totally out of order if I do that, but you may want to listen to it anyway. I'm going to entertain a motion to move down to other business for a short discussion while Bob's here, since he attended the meeting last night.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor of suspending?
Aye.
Thank you. I began my research today on the question about the treasurer's position being put back together with the delinquent tax collector. And historically, we found out, or I found out, that from 2000 to 2006, there was no mention whatsoever in the town records minutes of even electing a delinquent tax collector. Okay? In 2007, it shows up in the warning under the article, oh no, not there. In 2007 and 8, it shows up to have the treasurer receive the taxes. That was actually part of the article that was warned. It specifically says to have the treasurer receive the real taxes. In 2008 and 9, it says to authorize the select board to appoint a tax collector. Okay? In 2010, there was an article, it happened to be article number 7, and it says to elect a tax collector to receive personal taxes or personal property taxes, and if so, who would that person be, is the way the article was written. And that was the year that Joe was elected, was 2010. It did not begin being listed in the actual list of officers where we elected that position until 2012. In 2014, I did my research today. In 2014, the legislature changed the law, and the tax collector is no longer an elected position, it's an appointed position. So that answers the question that we got into last night. And I will have the town record book upstairs with me if anybody wants to be able to actually see the language in there. But that more or less answers the question. It is now an appointed position anyway, so. Okay? Anybody have any questions with that little diatribe?
No, so we would then just appoint the treasurer.
Well,
Or we can separate it
Well,
out.
not the treasurer.
no,
No, we
Tax collector.
would appoint,
the way
Right.
we can do it is to go ahead and elect a treasurer, and then when we do the article that has the collection tax, the dates for the collection taxes, the quarters, then we can amend that article to read to have the treasurer
right,
collect personal,
to appoint the treasurer as tax collector.
Right.
to collect the taxes. So that solves that little dilemma that we have going right there. Okay? I just figured you might want to
See,
hear that.
That's the case right there, Bob. If you went back and if you didn't get the amended version of that thing, you'd never know.
I only found out because I talked to an attorney today, in fact, in 2014. that that was changed.
Back when I was in the highway, this was an amendment to the statutes, of course, it's way outdated now, but
Well, I thought I did all my research about the roads and the right-of-way, because I went onto the state website, and I got what I thought was the most current, but you never can tell.
see, 2015 is when they changed that.
Well, that was the point when the ancient roads had to be reported to the state. I actually talked to the AOT too, so I mean,
But
I covered a
apparently,
lot of bases.
but I questioned that at the time of it, and that was one reason I got on the committee to help. I knew where a lot of them were, and Charlie did too, and, because, hey, maybe I owned a piece of land beyond you, and that was originally a class 4 road. Well, you own both sides of the road, what happens to me with my property beyond there? But they claimed, supposedly according to them, that there'd been a right of way there, so you still had a right to your property. I don't know.
There's no such thing as landlocked property. So,
I know that, that's why I questioned it.
Well, so basically now trying to figure out where we are on this agenda is driving me nuts. Is there any reason to go back and pick up the highway? Since we're not going to have the highway foreman
No.
here, we've
No.
talked about the bridge, we've dealt with the uniforms, is there anything else with the highway that needs to be dealt with?
About the plowing.
She's not,
She may show at 7 or thereafter, but in terms of a highway report, I have nothing from Kirk by way of anything to present to you. He didn't give me anything, and I don't know that he didn't give anything to you. Some.
if she comes, then
We can address that
we'll
As
deal
a
with
member of the
this.
public instead of under
The game ain't here anyway, is it?
What's that?
Say, the girls' game that he probably went to isn't here
Oh,
anyway.
no, it's in Essex, he's not gonna be here.
He won't be here.
No, he's not gonna be here. All right, so then let's move on down. Is there any old business that needs to be dealt with? No?
Yeah, I got, well, Kurt ain't here, so it don't, really ain't gonna do me much good. That's what up here to McIntoshes, just below Craig's.
We talked about that.
Goddamn water runs right out the road. Back when Chad was in, he had him clean all the stuff between the stone wall and the road out, because there was a kind of a blacktop swale for a ditch. Kurt filled it right back into gravel that same year. I stopped to give him heck, but I had no authority other than being a citizen, because I wasn't on the board at that time. And that brush I had, you can't get down through there with a truck without that brush hitting your mirrors. Well, as far as I'm concerned, well, we'll have to talk to him, but they should cut the brush clear back to the fence and clean that mess out between that little stone wall and the road for a drainage ditch.
Okay, anything else?
That water does freeze up almost every morning. And that's one of the first places they do hit the salt when they go out.
I had a couple of people ask me the question that, what the town did with the wood they cut last fall. And they went around and picked up all the good wood and left the old dead rotten trees and didn't move them. And I said, well, I didn't know why. And I got looking it up, and according to the goddamn statutes, that wood belongs to the landowner.
Well, but
Well,
who,
yeah, that was Skip's problem when he came before us.
Oh.
They were Skip pushed over the
That's
bank.
something we'll have to
Push over
bring
the
up to
bank.
Kurt,
Yeah.
because he went around, he was seen picking up a bunch of it.
again, he's not here, so we can't.
No, that's what I say, it's something that we'll just have to bring up.
Okay, so then.
Maybe you will, I might not be here.
Is that what you're telling me? Okay,
It's being burned down at the pit.
that's right. Finally, after
No,
all
no,
these years.
we didn't go to the pit.
All right,
I went and checked.
It's getting burned, but not in the pit.
Right,
okay.
yeah.
So then we have a liquor license for Vermont Staple Goods. This is a second-class license to sell alcohol.
Beer and wine.
So,
It's under, thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Under Vermont Staple Goods, where is
Riverman.
me here?
Where that market? So tobacco
So-
too? No, I guess not.
I'm trying to figure out what's on the backside. No, it's just the liquor.
Yeah.
So all those in favor of approving a liquor license for Vermont Staple Goods or Riverbend Market, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Then we need to sign that. Now, you remember, this is the one we can't put on the wrong side, right?
And And that's the second class, right? Yeah.
Yes. Now, I'll do it while it's still blank so you can.
That's more like
Oh dear. They didn't apply for tobacco one?
I don't believe there's, I'm sorry?
I don't know that I don't know if they always renew.
Yeah, they'll do tobacco also. Usually they come together. But anyway.
I'm just waiting for it to come down. I'll put it back on the clipboard.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll deal with Bartlett after the board.
Oh, yeah, actually, usually wait, I just put that there so we wouldn't lose it. Usually wait until spring on that one.
Alrighty.
You wanna wait until you get a budget passed
Do you?
next week,
Cool.
so.
Alright, is there any other business? Is there any need to do an executive session? Do we want to take a 5-minute break to see if this lady about the plowing does come in at 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion to take a 15-minute break while we wait to see if the member of the public shows up to discuss the plowing issue.
Yep.
Does somebody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll come back in at 7:15?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting back to order. Evidently, the lady who had requested, we have a discussion about the plowing is not going to be able to make it this
I'll
evening.
forward the information to Kirk though, I mean,
I think we should,
make sure that he's got that. and-
you need to forward that to Kurt
Yeah,
and find out if in fact that this is Wardsboro's responsibility,
Right.
so that she can be notified that she needs to speak to a different town. And that's, trying to explain that to somebody who actually pays taxes in this town, that they've got to talk to Wardsboro, is gonna be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
well,
We'll wait until she talks to Wardsboro.
It can simply be that Kirk calls the highway department in Wardsboro and
Right.
says, look, you're missing 50
Yeah.
feet or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Also,
You ever
I'll
think that
come in
maybe they
tomorrow
plan to
and
not
check
do it?
out, make sure.
Okay. But like I said, somebody needs to get back to this lady, because she did,
I'll give her a call, that's not a problem.
I say, I'll be in the morning and check that out, make sure by looking at everything and it's where it is, but I'm positive that's where it is.
well, we actually had the big maps out today, because we were looking to see if maybe her driveway was in Wardsboro, on the Wardsboro side. And it's not, it's on the Townsend side.
Yeah, but Wadsboro took that over, so when that driveway was put in, it was turned over to Wadsboro, make sure the driveway was right.
Well, I'm sure it probably was, I'm just saying that, looking
yeah.
at the map, it is on Townsend's side of the,
Oh, yeah, it is, it's on, 'cause that line goes right straight up from down to the bottom of the hill there, but where, just above where Carl's Rattler is a stone wall. Comes out
But
there.
if we run the roads every day, we should note, you know,
Yep.
what's in our territory and our responsibility, even if we have that agreement in place with another town, then we should be noting that they're not fulfilling their bar, or we're not doing ours or whatever. And it's as
Also,
easy as making a phone call up
It's
there.
the same way with the grades, Wadsboro grades that part too.
all right, so the next meeting will be town meeting, which is next Tuesday at 9 a.m. And the board will meet immediately, for those of you who are still around. The board will meet, or I might meet all by myself, I don't know.
I've got an appointment at the vet, so I'm not gonna go.
Okay, you're not even gonna be here to take
I
minutes?
gotta wash my hair.
We'll meet shortly, right after the town meeting, to reorganize and actually get some officers in place to handle that transition for a week to 2 weeks, whatever it is, week, I guess it is. So we'll have a short meeting there, and if the need arises, we will also take that opportunity to appoint our town manager. Because that has to happen that night.
Yep.
I verified that again today. So,
I still I don't like the way that was worded,
Which,
because it don't give you any
The article?
choice.
Did you ask?
well,
the lawyer?
I mean, the way it's worded, the reason that it doesn't give you a choice is if we decide to go to town manager, the select board can do that on its own.
No, the assistant.
I
If we don't go with the
We
manager.
asked,
Right.
we asked the committee about administrative assistant or town manager, and all that came out was town manager.
No, they.
No, we did a,
Well,
No, town
you look at
administrator.
that article in there,
On the article.
right, but
don't give you no choice.
right, but you don't need an article for a town administrator. That can be done
Without
without,
voter approval.
yeah, the board can do that whenever.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you can't argue about administrator at town meeting because that's not, what the article says.
But you shouldn't have to argue about it anyway, because that's at the board's discretion. You can have an administrator anytime you want. You know, you can do that and then pull it away if you don't like it. The manager is a different, it's a whole.
That's what I mean,
Right,
whole different
but
ballgame.
but the language in that article came directly from the attorney, who said this is the way it basically needs to be warned. There could have been a financial put in there. I mean, that's one
Right.
thing that'll have to be dealt with.
Right.
But basically, the wording on that is pretty well vetted out. That's the proper way of getting there. But we'll see.
Well, you're talking roughly, just guessing what they would be. You're talking 6 cents on every $100 worth of appraisal.
For what? For a
The town manager.
On taxes.
Well, it depends on what you paid him. Could be 8.
No, if you take a cent will raise around between 10 and almost $12,000.
Yeah, and the range is.
But you take that on a $100,000 house, you take that and some other stuff, it ain't gonna be long, you put, like you mentioned last night at pre-town meeting about putting money aside. You're gonna put the poor guy that, on a fixed income and didn't make the money like they make today, that he's gonna be, this place will be for tax sale or something.
Well, the first thing, and I did mention it last night, that everybody needs to understand is we're beginning this entire process with a 23-cent increase just for the schools.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we're starting.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's why I brought it up last night, that all these additional articles that have been added that say how much
But
are going to add to that.
what you don't realize is these people sat out here at town meeting. Well, gee, God, how come you raised my taxes so much? They voted on the cotton picking thing.
Well, again, would the people did pay closer attention to taxes? I mean, if that is the bottom line, then I think the board has done a fairly conscientious job of keeping taxes relatively level and keeping the town afloat over the last number of years. And being very responsible despite facts of not having uncontroversial finances to deal with. That having been said, the driver for taxes has been the school system over the last 10 years.
Right.
And it continues to go up, this year being the biggest, but it's been pushing that. Now, the promissory note is that it will come down in the future. We'll see what happens with that. But all things being equal, you know, and level funded and the grand list being the same, and the budget that you guys put forth as a proposal, being similar to last year's, the tax rate would be the same this year, but for the increase at the school. So a $2.06 homestead tax rate right now is going pretty close to $2.30, just as a matter, even before we go to town meeting.
Right.
Yeah, but you take, well, like myself, before I retired, all the select board would give me was $10 an hour. I turn around 2 years later and hire somebody for $20 an hour. Well, I'm still on a fixed income, I don't get a big fat raise. There's a lot of other people in the same boat.
And I don't see the drivers from here, from this board or from previous boards, to run the taxes up. I mean, the pressures for municipal taxes going up have been with technology to some degree, with keeping this finance office going and the audits and all of that. But most of them come from the highway department. I mean, the list from the highway department of things wanted for this year was about $750,000. on the want list. And that
Well,
was-
that's a little bit more than what I was wishing for, but.
Well, no, but I mean, it was the new plow, it was the new plow truck, the new 550, it was the new grader, and
Yep.
this year we're buying a loader. I mean, it was 4 pieces of equipment for next year, just to start out with.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, I think they need it.
I
anyway,
gotta say, we used to run trucks 10 years.
10 years before you turn them in.
Yep.
Yeah.
About
So-
every between 9 and 10 years, and we'd
Yeah,
replace it.
that's what happens when you're used to driving junk, you just wanna keep on driving it.
Well,
We've got broke
Yeah.
one.
The Sterling that we just sold was 10 years old, but it only had 70,000 miles on it.
Yeah, well, we had, it was pretty close to 100,000 miles on a truck when we got rid of it.
all right, so anyway, the next
the way it
meeting is the 13th at 6, unless the new board decides to change the date and time, which is a possibility as well. So,
What are you expecting?
oh, well, we changed from Mondays to Tuesdays 2 years ago.
Because.
2 years
okay,
ago
good,
we
make
changed
Mondays. I mean, that was.
So yeah, you can change it, it's not set in stone, is my point. All right,
We could do this.
Oh, I just wanted to say what a pleasure it's been serving with all of you.
It has been, and good luck.
Good luck in the future.
Right,
Get
yeah.
somebody.
We could do this every week. I mean, you don't have to do it twice a month.
you want me to get this?
I moved it, no other business,
Somebody want to adjourn before this gets a little silly?
no other business come before the board,
All
I'm
right.
adjourned.
Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Thank you all.